On this learning objective, you can actually start to explain how you chose your answers in your problems. So you're given a problem and you're shown a couple of alkanes and you're asked which has a higher boiling point, which has a lower boiling point, or which has a higher melting point, or which has a lower melting point. So if we increase the mass, we're doing two things. More massive molecules move slower. That means they're less likely to melt into a liquid or boil just because they have more mass. It takes more energy to get them moving. And then they also have more attractive groups. In the case of alkanes, this is just London dispersion forces that are very weak, attracting other London dispersion forces. But in both cases, as you increase the mass, you make it harder to melt or harder to boil, harder to get the molecules to move, and harder to get them to separate from each other. So increased mass leads to an increase in melting point or boiling point. So if I drew some molecules, say ethane, propane, pentane, icosahane, I'm not sure what it would be called, 20 carbon alkane, we start out at a low boiling point and move to a high boiling point. Now the second thing we can do is we can increase the branching. That's going to leave the mass the same, but it's going to have less surface area for interactions. And that will mean less attractive force. In this case, just fewer dispersion forces. So increased branching is going to decrease the melting point or boiling point. This time I'll go sideways. Low will do melting point to high. So if I've got more branched, let's do something like there's just 5 carbons in the most compact formation and the most spread out formation. So this first one makes kind of a lumpy ball, and this one makes a more stretched out chain with more surface area to be attracted to other molecules. Now in the future, we're going to add other functional groups, and you'll see that as you increase polarity, that makes molecules stick together more because they're bigger plus and minus charges. They're fractional charges, but they're bigger than these teeny tiny ones. So it will increase the melting point or boiling point. And if we put on a larger number of polar groups, like 2 alcohols or 3 alcohols, that will also increase the melting point or boiling point. So there's a little preview about stuff to come in future chapters.